Anyway, where I was kind of going with I Love Lucy was that those guys really, Desi Arnaz and Lucille Ball, you know, Desi Lou, right? And that is love's co-creation. What they did in the media, why, that was because they were co-creating when, it wasn't the Lucy, I Love Lucy, and because that's what Desi did. He loved Lucy. That's why they called it I Love Lucy, right? But the company, because he was Mr. Businessman, was Desi Lou. Right? Now, she had the money. She had made money in the movies and had money. He just was a band leader, and they were hot for each other. And but that is biological, right? And in reality, that kind of heat cools down relatively quickly because biologically, men and women actually are wired not to stick with each other. They are wired, back in the days of the caveman when people didn't live too long. You wanted to max, your reproduction thing. Plus, the fact that we are somebody's test tube baby, they created us as worker drones, and so they wanted as many good old worker drones as didn't care, you were moving something and a big stone fell on you, no big deal, move, you got a lot of these things, right? And so that's biologics. But as our consciousness was started to raise, our soul started to be encompassed when characters like Inky and others kept twiddling with the knobs of our DNA, putting us in a position where we could, be more than we could be, you know, that we were, the radio frequency was being tuned into love's co-creation. So that's when, when people would come together and find out, wow, that, they couldn't quite intellectualize that they were just a cell of a larger body. But when they came together and it was more than sex and they could create all these kind of amazing things with each other, I mean, that they made each other better. I mean, why I liked theater, why I liked working on films. Yes, I had my talents and my things I could do that were appreciated, but I did them amongst a group of people, a collective that did something that individually we couldn't do ourselves, you know, and uh, and that's what's love's co-creation, and that's what we're working for, and that's why Jesus still sticks around, is still here. He hasn't gone anyway. He hasn't left the building. And Buddha and Vishnu and all the others, they are like a cell of Jesus. They came before him and they are part of him. And when the sad thing is we, as a species, didn't get to read, the Gospels are not written by Jesus, the guy who's the most literary, the smartest, you know, whereas everything that we think is the New Testament, the Holy Book, nah, it's a advertising thing, right? Whereas the Old Testament, the Torah, that's a whole different thing. That's a mathematical equation. You need Kabbalah as the key to the book. And people who see what's the real problem, like Madonna, she got really into the Kabbalah and she studied just the Kabbalah. She didn't realize that, and most people who get into the magic just do that. They think that's it, and it's not it. That's just the key. You know, it's the key to the Torah of being part of. Anyway, so put my glasses on, see if I can see any of this. Well, we were just starting to get the chorus together when we were rudely interrupted. But that's okay. John was excited. He wanted to tell us, that he's had a gestalt, a lightning understanding. You know, something that I've been talking to him about for 2.5 years. And he has this lightning understanding every now and then. And the thing is, if he can make the next little step, and why I invited him to breakfast tomorrow, is that that's when we talk, you know, when he tells me about what he dreamt and how he felt and, blah, blah, blah. So, and what, and part of the little gestalt was he felt he really, really, really had to go see his kids. And when I drove him all the way from up here, and I had things to do, and but I blew off everything I was going to do in the morning, and I drove him to the airport to get there by 1, so he'd have enough time. But he couldn't get out of the car. He couldn't. Like, oh, it's too hard. I can't do it. He bought the ticket. All he had to do was walk through those doors, go up the escalator, get on the airplane, and go to Texas. But that was too tough, too hard. So, I said, well, you don't have to get, on the airplane. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. It's your life. And so he felt really terrible, blah, 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 guilty, blah, 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 all the above. And then as we drove away from, the further we got from the airport, the better he felt. And we went all the back, up here, and I made a good meal because he just had breakfast, and he really had, so I made another nice meal for him, and a vegetable stir fry, and he ate that. And we talked again, and he kind of had, by the fact that he could choose not to go to the airport, even though he thought he had to, he kind of had this realization, and it's been staring in his face for, almost 20 years, and so he had it. Now he's had this realization before. If he can, because John is a great guy. He's a smart guy. He's a talented guy. He has all these great characteristics in him. He went, he did everything the first 20-something years of his life that he thought, and he went to college. He didn't like school, but he went to college and he got, undergrad, and then he went to, got a master's degree. So he's got credentials, as they say, in the scholastic world, and he's made 3 features and a ton of shorts and a ton of YouTubes. But instead of like enjoying them or sharing them, or it was like his had to do stuff. Right now, I do this stuff for you guys, not that I have to do anything, and so today was a good example. I had a whole bunch of things I was going to do, but I said, John needs me, so I'm going to, and I don't have to do this for John, but I'm going to make his life a little easier. And so when we got there, I sat, I pulled into a parking spot. We sat in the car for a good 15, 20 minutes. But we got there, I got him there so we could talk 15 minutes and he could still go in the airport and get on the airplane without rushing. And he, and then when I said, you don't have to, I can't do it. It's so hard. And I said, well, why don't you just go and sit there and see if you can get on the airplane. And if not, you can, but I got to go do stuff. And again, he said, oh, no, it's too hard. So, again, I had rearranged my day so I could do the stuff I had to do in the afternoon. But now, nope. So I had to drive him back home and come up here. So that kind of tied me, it takes a lot of energy, to do the stuff I do with John. And because there's so much resistance. Whereas, doing these shows for you guys, it doesn't take that much energy. I mean, yes, so I go into state, but I go into state, 10 times a day to keep my body going. And going to state with you and doing this is like an act of love. I love doing it for you. And I love, John's my friend, so I am happy to do it, but there's so much resistance there on every frigging level and that I've been exposed to it for 2.5 years. Yes, last summer I wasn't here. Last winter I wasn't here. A few months of the year before that I wasn't around. But it's been, one of the major things that I'm studying, is this whole dynamic. Because John is the canary in the coal mine of our collective culture of Luciferian mysticism's illusion, So, anyway, and John, I have, lots of physical things wrong, and John looks at me. There's nothing wrong with you. All you got to do is, start. He wants me to lift weights. I don't think that's gonna. I mean, I couldn't. My feet aren't attached to my ankles, so if I had to, do a squat and lift up, none of that's gonna work. Maybe a 1 pound weight, but he wanted to start me off with the 20 pounds and the 40 pounds. It's like, what? And he goes, well, that's why you're, Anyway, the bottom line is if John can take that kind of excitement he just had and bring it around to the place where he kind of gets rid of his ego, where the world isn't all about him, and that he can start co-creating. Well, if he makes his movies and his YouTubes and all of that stuff with that kind of energy, then, he would, be very successful, And, if he wrote songs about how he actually felt instead of these, go listen to his songs, they're almost on the edge of him expressing something that people could identify with. And what I see in John is the fact that he really is this metaphor of the general human complaint, And I've been really lucky to not have that complaint, Just by the throw of the dice or the way things have been, I haven't had that complaint. I've had great mentors. I have people to take me, protect me, take me out of harm's way because they said, this kid has the potential, So, as we all do, so say we all, Well, we're heading towards 14 minutes, and so I just wanted to put an end cap on this, and I'll give it another 5-10 minutes. Because I know you guys like going into state, And there's one. Who came back? Who's on the chat? Were you here earlier before we were interrupted? And again, it's not an interruption. I let John into it because he always, pulls things in a totally different direction, yet adds like a punctuation, So if any of you have gone and read my writings at xratted.blogspot.com, you see that I, try to break the spell of spelling and grammar as much as I can. And yes, everything I do is a metaphor, so that's why you got to read it 4 or 5 times. And why do I read Moby? I must have read Moby Dick 100 times. Why do I read that? Because every time I read it, I see something new in it that I never saw before. And I read a lot of books in that manner. And I go, whoa. And that's why on my channel, Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Al Bob, you go to the channel itself and it has the dashboard up there, right? The channel, the videos, this, that, and there's a thing there. It says playlist. Go click that. I figured out how to put stuff up there, and I know that you can look at that playlist. And I have left hundreds of YouTubes that are pretty amazing. Yeah, they're either really funny. I find that guy who does This Week Tonight as really powerfully perceptive, but really funny, right? And I have a lot of people up there. And then there are a lot of people. There's a guy, I think it's called the Crow House. He's Australian or New Zealand. And he is just a Joe guy that a lightning bolt hit. And he has a real insight on a lot of things in a way that's really, he explains things extraordinarily well. And, he is not, again, he's a scholar rather than a scholastic. Boy, he has read everything like I did and studied with them. So he's a cohort, a person that I can truly identify with. And there's a woman, her name is Beautiful Grace or something Grace. And she is another one of these people who is, not a scholastic, but she has, her talent is to reach, she gets an idea, she thinks about something, she's really good at navigating the internet and finding the stuff she needs. She takes these, and she has a really great shamanic voice. I mean, she's got a shamanic thing going on. And she is a beautiful soul, and she's a beautiful person and a beautiful, avatar. Yet, the best thing about her is that she is not playing to her ego. It's not about her. She's all about her audience. And she goes, my YouTube friends, right? I call you my cadre. She goes, YouTube friends, right? And she brings up a subject, she puts out a thesis, and then she deconstructs it and then rebuilds it. And this girl is brilliant, And both, so there are about 10 people who I got up on my playlist. If you go watch them, I tell you stories about this stuff, but they explain it really clear, really well. And that's why I'm using my playlist as, again, a shamanic tool. All these guys, as I watch them, realize that whether they know it or not, they are shamanically co-creating with love, right? So that's why I put them up on a playlist, because it's like every one of those things is like, whoa, you should know this, or you should be exposed to this, or you should experience this. And that's why I put them up there. And they're all, I go on for hours. They hit to the meat of the matter and do all their thing, and they're, one of the guys, he's almost as lengthy as me, but he's just, but they're, so that's why I put them on. And I am your sensei. What is this? That teacher. This is a class, right? One of your homework assignments is go to my freaking playlist and watch some of those things, right? Because I know you guys watch a lot of YouTube, so you wouldn't have found me if you didn't, So go check those guys out, right? Anyway, so who's on there? Who's that one guy there? Let's see, 20 minutes and 20 seconds. Okay, that's another nice synchronistic moment. Maybe we'll wait another 5-10 minutes, see if anyone shows up. If not, I'm going to go to sleep because I'm tired. But when I go into state, when I do a guided meditation with the guys, I don't get tired. I kind of get energized. But after spending the whole day with John Boy, I am really tuckered out, And, it's pretty obvious. And John, I don't know if you heard him, but he says, why are you so tired, and he was going to bring the cats in. I'm not a cat guy. I can deal with them out there, but I have a little cell. It's you know 8 feet wide by maybe 10 feet long. That's it. That's really the only thing that is got me in here. And I picked this one little room because it is the best sealed. The wind doesn't go through here. There are no little things of that. So this can, and it's somewhat insulated. So whatever he goes, boy, it's warm in here. Well, that's because this little electric heater that would be doing nothing outside there keeps this whole thing relatively warm. Like up to 64 degrees, and it heats up relatively quickly. So I don't keep the heat running 24/7. I just I don't touch the heat system here because it's electric and it costs meaning the rest of the house. So when I was here all by myself, when John went away and it was winter, I didn't, I just kept the heat at the level where the pipes would freeze. He was quite amazed it is when he's got everything running, and that's part of the deal. You got to keep an eye on things. So a few of you showed up. Good. So let's see. Another few minutes, if we get a conversation going here, I will continue the chat. Well, somebody left. If not, I'm going to go to sleep because, like I said, I was tired after spending the whole day with John. And it's difficult. I sat down and started to write something, and then John talked to me for an hour, and then every time I try to do something, that's why I go to the library and write. Because I can. It's a quiet place. I go and sit down at the computers they got there, throw in a thumb drive, and go from there. Anyway, so no one wants to say anything. No conversation. Welcome to the live chat. Remember to guard your privacy. Yep. Anyway, learn more. Well, let's see. It's 24 minutes and 24 seconds. So I'll wait till 30:30. And if we don't start a conversation or more people don't show up, I'm just going to say goodnight. Yes, I'm tired. And, I kind of rule by, when things get dark, I go to sleep. So do you get to see that? I brought down, I got a lot of notifications off my inbox. I was just saying, what came in there. Anyway, oh, there's 3 now. The magic number, and there's my hand. Ooh. Ooh, now 4. We're going to have a conversation. Well, if we get another, even if you don't talk, if we get another 3 or 4 people in there, hey, I will go into a guided meditation. Anyway. 26 minutes and 10 seconds. Okay. I will start. I'm going to go into state just so I can refresh myself. Well, I'm, breathing in that 20% and out that 30%. And, when I meditate, I kind of hit the fork in the road and either go into state or I fall asleep. So we'll see what happens here. So, 1, you're going into a deep state of relaxation. You have placed yourself, your avatar, into a relaxed position. And you are going into a deep state of relaxation. And so am I. I'm breathing in the prana. I'm lifting my diaphragm up so my lungs can expand and take in that prana into my blood. And my heart is pumping the blood through my cardiovascular system, and it's swirling around. See it clearly. And it's swirling clockwise against the walls of my cardiovascular system, and inside of that swirl is a counterclockwise swirl, and inside of that swirl is a clockwise swirl going in 90 degrees parallax. And what that does, it creates a flow of current, electric current, alternating current. And it's doing it on a frequency, not Hertzian, but scalar. And that current is being drawn throughout our whole body by our grounding ourselves out into Gaia through our chi. See that clearly? We're going deeper and deeper and deeper into a state of relaxation. And you're illuminating yourself because that current flow from, the top of your chakras all the way down to your chi is energizing every cell of your body. See it clearly. And you're taking that current flow and you're seeing on your every cell of your body as they split, mitosis occurs, you see the DNA zippering apart and the RNA coming into it. And what that does, it gives a medium for that prana to be changed into photonic light. You take that photonic light into your imaginary mirror and you illuminate your imaginary mirror. And that's where you dream. That's where you have REM sleep right behind your eyelids, right? And I want us all our relations, to take this photonic light and shine it not just into our Akashic record, but into our heart, where we will feel all our relations, see it clearly. Right? Visualize love's co-creation. And at that place where you are vibrating in love's co-creation, I'm going to let you be there on your own. And I want you to have a blissful experience, something greater than any psychotropic or scholastic or spiritual thing. Okay? You're there now. And I'm going to just let my fingers let you go. Let you go.